There was a musical that started at the New York Musical Festival, and now it's being given a premiere recording. It's called Freedom Writers, the Civil Rights Musical, and we were with its writers, Taran Gray and Richard Allen. Hi, how are you? Welcome to T2C Online.
Hi.
Hey,
Thank you
thank
for having us.
Can you tell me, getting to the New York Musical Festival, I'm sure was not its first place. So can you tell me the journey of which Freedom Writers has taken?
Sure. Actually, New York Musical Festival was its first place.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had just finished the musical probably like a week before I submitted it, but I had submitted it for the 2000. I thought I was submitting for the 2016 festival, not the 2015 festival. And I submitted it, and she called me 2 days later asking if we'd be interested in being in that year's festival instead of the next year. Right after we had just kind of finished writing it.
And what was the response at the musical festival?
It was great. We were part of the beta program. There was a new kind of program they had just started, which was kind of this mixture of stage reading, concert, kind of no holds barred. No one kind of knew what it was. So Equity didn't really even have an idea of what this thing was. So it was kind of exciting for us to participate in that way. And it was during the process of rehearsals, we went viral with a video, and that just all of a sudden sold our tickets out for the show. And then we added more shows and those sold out. So it was super well received during that time period.
What did you learn the most from being in that festival?
That's a good question. I think we learned a lot of there was a lot of, it was so fast paced, and it was also our first time in New York. We're both San Diego theater kids, so
okay.
I think a lot of what we learned was sort of the theater culture of New York and how to navigate that and the differences between the San Diego culture and the New York.
Wait, why didn't we premiere it in San Diego or La Jolla?
We did a lot of concerts in San Diego, actually.
I know.
Yeah, but
I'm from Orange County at one point.
We literally we weren't even like thinking about what we should do with this. We just knew that there's festivals, and that was the first festival we submitted to, and 2 days later. So we didn't even have a chance to really even explore, what other possibilities would be, because that
you
one
didn't think of La Jolla?
Sure, of course we, but at that time we like literally just finished the show. But we grew up in La Jolla. I worked for Old Globe and Lambs Players, so we're super familiar with all the theaters in San Diego. We just thought it was an opportunity. If you can do New York, and you can kind of do well in New York, that is something that bodes well for you. So we wanted to take that chance.
The reason I'm asking is because I covered the musical festival. I didn't cover the beta. I remember this year. I didn't cover the beta because my philosophy was if I was going to review one show at the musical festival, I was going to do them all in a section, and it gets to be so overwhelming. But I watched, like I can talk about it now, I couldn't talk about it then, but I watched as the musical festival had some amazingly talented shows that should have gone to a next level. And because of the contractual things, never got past square one. So it breaks my heart because there were some amazing things. So did anything happen once you did the festival?
Yeah, I think so. For us, I think we're a little bit different than most composers. We function in the other worlds that we are creators in as producers as well. So for us, this was sort of like a kind of a learning ground. We knew that we wanted to be the ones to produce our musical overall, but what did that mean? And what did that mean in New York terms? And I think that's what it quickly became. So we met with a lot of producers during that time period, and we learned some lessons of what that kind of comes with. And it was just super important for us to have producers on board that understood what the message of the art show was and really believed in that more than just the commercial viability of the show. And that's what we kept getting, is the commercial viability, how to make it more commercial and more profit leaning, which is cut down the cast and do this. And, and there was a lot of markers to get to that commercial cookie cutter standard. And we just kind of refused to do that. We just kind of came to a place where we're like, our show has its time and place, and it'll come around for the right people to come around to do our show. And we're seeing that happen now, which is quite exciting, to finally find the partners we love and people that we want to work with, and and see this show come to life.
How many are in your cast?
21.
Oh yeah, that's way a lot. That's even way a lot for Broadway.
Yes.
Because I was working with a musical semi-based on the Freedom Writers that came out of the New York Summer Fest. But again, and it was all a cappella, so at least you got, the band was not a contributing factor. Are you marketing this to schools and to like regional theaters around the country?
As of right now, we are working with commercial producers for the show. So that's kind of where, and we've been talking to some regional theaters like La Jolla and other places. But, we are really taking our time to find the perfect fit for the show. We are the lead producers on it. So we really want to make sure that wherever we go is going to be a place that kind of understands, how we work as producers when it comes to marketing and stuff. And that's why we're so excited to work with Broadway Records on our album, because they just they get it, they understood that we're young guys and we have ideas of what we think is cool and what we think is how the industry is moving. And they've just doubled down with us on that, and they've been great partners. Have
you been dealing with Van Deen, right?
Yeah, Van Deen's amazing.
Yeah.
He is an amazing guy. How would you describe the music of this show?
It's definitely musical theater, but we have a lot of roots in gospel and a lot of roots in Motown, especially for this show. It was important to us, especially early on when Richard came to me and we started writing music together. It was important that this had a spiritual element to it that really felt like a church service in a lot of ways, where people left feeling energized, and that there was that emotional connection to the music. And so both him and I really set out to kind of make that the core of sort of the genre within musical theater.
Yeah,
well,
I think.
What would you say is the main instrumentation to it?
I guess piano, strings, and horns would be the three sort of primary instruments.
Are they characters as well as?
They are, yeah.
Yeah, we would say that they're basically they're the support threads for characters. So we definitely use them to kind of narrate the arcs of each character. Certain instruments are really kind of lend itself to certain characters. So I think for like John Lewis, we kind of really reserve, what is it, Taran?
Yeah, the muted trumpet, it comes in anytime John Lewis does. And that's the idea of the power that he had like a trumpet, but that he intentionally and purposely kind of put a mute in front of it, and that was his power. Yeah.
What is its next step? Because right now it's coming out as a record. First of all, when's the record coming out?
It came out on the 19th.
Oh, so it's already out.
It's already out.
Just out.
What kind of marketing's been done for it? Because I haven't seen anything for this.
Yeah, we have press releases out. Playbill we did an exclusive release of a music video with Playbill. yeah, so all the traditional marketing, social media things.
So what's its next step?
As a musical,
Mhm.
right now we have a couple partnerships that we're doing, and and like I said, we are now looking at a couple of regional theaters that we're talking to see if that is a home for the next year season. So that's going to be its next step, to have that regional theater sit down moment, and while we start building the full team for the commercial production for New York bound.
What is it you would like people to take away from this musical?
I think we have a few things, and I'll chime in, and then Taran, I'm sure, has things as well. I think for us, it really came down to the legacy of love, and what does that mean in a contemporary world today, as you fight for for justice in this world. How do you do that and maintain this sense of self and respect, while trying to make change, and who you do that with. And I think that's what we really tried to nail. We really wanted to not only show the legacy of the Freedom Riders and what they did as a historical thing, but it was really important for us to show the contemporary story that in a way could inspire the next generation to realize that they can still go out there and make change in this world, and they can do it in a way that is loving and nonviolent, and that is able to bring others together. And that was really important for us.
Yeah, yeah, I think I'd say the same thing. I mean, pre sort of 1970s, there's only a handful of stories in American history where you see everybody of every religion and sect and race coming together to try to create change. And this is one of those extremely powerful moments in our history where that happened. So
Are you
yeah.
thinking are you thinking of showcasing, now that film is coming to the forefront and being done well, like Tick Tick Boom, which is exquisite? Do you see this becoming more of a film than a show per se, or do you not see it going that way?
I think for this one, our other musicals, we would probably answer differently. But I think for this one, this feels like a route of it being a show first before being a feature. I mean, I definitely think it really comes down to, I work in the film and television world. For me, it really comes down to what is the cinematic angle of that piece, and really being able to show visually the story and what that means. And I don't know if we have a handle on that yet, but I think we have a great understanding of what it means to be a stage show as of right now. But that, never say never. There was a point where, we were offered a lot of money to make it into a film. So that might be a thing again. You never know.
No, I ask this because most people don't realize the economics of putting on a show and what a cast means. I mean, 21, you're stuck with Broadway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's never going to go off. You definitely, it could go regional, but it's limited because of the cast number. And I think a lot of people do not think of these things.
Absolutely. We did. We actually had a moment where we brought the cast down to 15. And
Even that's a lot.
And yeah, well, there's no way to do Freedom Riders, which took over 430 folks in order to accomplish the goal of what they did, with less than that. You would be kind of in a way rewriting the history, because that means you would be focusing on a certain group, a certain amount of people, in a way that kind of erases the whole point of the whole thing, which is that it took a bunch of folks to do it. Right. So we realize it's a massive show, and that's why we taken our time to find the right places and the right partners to do it. Because but massive shows make it on Broadway all the time and do super well.
But this is a cast that's even bigger than most of the ones on Broadway that I know.
I mean, for sure. I mean, I
Because
think
for 21 people, that means you need at least you need at least 28 people because you've got understudies and things like that.
totally,
Mhm.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
it's
big
big.
one.
No, the reason I ask this is because I help new plays and new musicals all the time. And I try to match where they belong with what they are. And it's hard because there are certain constraints unless you can figure out a way that somebody will put in such a budget. But right now with Broadway the way that it is, this is hard. I mean, this is seriously
Totally.
hard. I mean, you've got Paradise Square coming. That is a massive cast as well. And I'm curious, massive. I don't think it's gonna make it actually. I'll be shocked if it does. Because it needs a lot of work. But I think that a musical based on this is very, very relevant and very much to this time. You talk about not rewriting history. It seems that we want to rewrite history. And the fact is we need to keep history as it is so we remember the lessons. And
Totally.
this is definitely a show that I think the lessons need to be learned.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's why we're excited to try to do a regional run, because I think we'll learn a lot of things during that process and discover a lot of things about the show that you just can't discover in theory on spec, you know.
The answer is true. You can't. If you had to name your perfect cast, who would you want in this?
I mean, I think I think it's the cast we have now, or at least it's very close to the cast we have now. Because most of these cast members have been with us since 2017, some of them
Wow.
2016. And the one of the reasons, I mean, other than the fact that we just think that they're uberly talented, one of the other reasons is that at this point they've put in 5 years of work in character study. And that's so unique in theater to have actors who have that much character study behind them on a character. And so because of that, I think it's really added to the piece where they've been able to carve
Yeah.
and protect the legacies of the people that we're portraying.
And a lot of them have met their real life counterparts, you know, like Anthony Chapman, who's been in Be More Chill and Hadestown, you know, has had a chance to talk to John Lewis before he died, you know, or Bryn Williams, who's been in like 6 Broadway shows, you know, has had the moment to be able to get on the phone with Diane Nash and talk to her. So we're very lucky that our actors have had that moment to really, you know, spend time with their counterparts and really understand the message and the legacy and how important it is. You know, besides that, I mean, once you hear the album, you'll also understand why, you know, because they're just stupidly talented. You know, they are the voices, and their acting matches up with it. So I don't know if there's a person I can think of that I'm like, I mean, there's names, right? Of course, and that's always the case, you know. But I would probably put a name in a part like a Martin Luther King Jr. or a Robert Kennedy before any of the other parts, you know, just because I feel like they're young and they're supposed to be like the 18 and 20-year-old, and
Right.
yeah, so I kind of want that to have that feel. But they're all super experienced, so
Have you started raising money for the production?
not yet. No, we wanted to do the world premiere album just as a way to, you know, reintroduce the show again, since we've been kind of in pandemic and concerts and stuff. And plus we were having some really great talks with some theaters that we were hoping that would come through. So we were trying to really just kind of hold off for a bit. But I mean, Van Dien is coming on as one of our producers, so we're very excited about that. And
No, he's good. He knows his stuff.
and he knows his stuff, and so he's going to be a great guide for us, and you know, combined with the other things that we have going. And I think we're going to be just good, just fine.
If people want to become involved as producers and or help donate money to this, where would they go?
I think the first step would, I mean, they can get in touch with Taran and I, and
How do they do that?
they can do that through our website at allenandgray.com. That's ALLENANDGRAY.com. And on there, there's a spot for sponsorship and also just reaching out to us if they're interested in producing. And we'll get right back in contact with them. We're pretty fast, and we'll start that process.
And I know that in order to get the record, they can go to BroadwayRecords.com. Is it also any place else like Amazon or any of those places?
Absolutely. Amazon Music, you can go there as well. Apple Music, obviously Spotify. And then we'll be releasing the physical album in January. So.
Oh, so the album hasn't really been released yet.
Yeah, this is the digital version. The digital version has been released on the 19th. The physical album will be released in Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday.
How wonderful. We look forward to seeing more about this show and hearing more about it. And thank you for being with us today.